Okay, what's up? Let's talk about something. Let's talk about the Power Rangers Lightning Collection Street Fighter, because they are releasing a Chun-Li figure, and I'm really on the fence about whether or not I'm going to get it. Okay, so this is it right here. This is the morphed Chun-Li Blazing Phoenix. First off, I would like to say something about this issue that I'm seeing right here. And I knew this was coming. I've known that this was coming for a long time now. The fact that we're going to start seeing figures released in box. And when I say in box, I mean you won't be able to see them anymore. There'll just be some artwork on the front of the figure, like somebody that took a photo. And there's a couple of problems with this. For one, look at the Chun-Li that you see standing in front there. It's obvious that they took the picture of that Chun-Li in a way so that they could definitely composite her out. And then they can just slap her on anything. So they can make the figure look more enticing by taking that and then putting it across an amazing background like what you see here. Nobody actually built that thing. It's not a playset or anything like that. It's not representative to the actual figure. It's just like a crazy background. And sure, you could say, well, Bill, you really like things like the Masterverse collection, and you really love that artwork. It's true, but Barbarian Fantasy has its beginnings in that kind of artwork. So we're talking about a slightly similar thing, but not the same thing. I realize that I've said time and time again that the artwork kind of is a part of selling the figure. And while this is also true for something like this, it would be cool to see like the Chun-Li in an artist representation of how cool the figure is imaginatively, because that's a part of it. It sparks the imagination to see the cool barbarian imagery that we see on He-Man figures, but not so much these things. This is an advertisement for what you might be getting inside of the box, and I think that is a problem in its own right, because we really have to consider where this is going, that they can now kind of doctor imagery and put it on there. And then if they get the absolute perfect picture of every figure and they put it on there, that's what you think you're going to get. But it might not be what you get. And we've been through this before when we look at things like when we're shopping for our figures and we look at the 4 or 5 different figures that happen to be out there on the shelf, and out of those 4 or 5 figures, you'll end up picking the one that you think has the best paint job. That's important because it is a major sell factor in these things, is that sometimes one paint job is very much superior to the next paint job. Sometimes the color is deeper. Sometimes your figure has just a little bit of a screw up on the face, and maybe when you're talking about like a Beast Man, that's cool. You can run with that. There was a slight red that bled off the mouth onto the teeth of my Beast Man that I got from Origin, and I was okay with it because I actually thought it looked fierce, like he'd bit into something and he almost had a little bit of blood on the side of his mouth. That's fine. But you can tell where some people would not be okay with that. They want the teeth to be white. And with this kind of thing, we're creating a whole new situation because you can't see the figure. Maybe that's just a minor thing, but I think that it's going to be an encompassing issue for all adult collectors going forward. And we also have to consider the fact that if you've ever shopped at a place like Walmart, or any other place for that matter, I'm sure it happens at Targets and things like that too, we've all bought the thing and then opened the thing and then found either not the right thing inside or completely something different, or not the thing at all. I've bought Blu-rays, literal Blu-ray movies off of their shelf that were still wrapped, went home, opened them, took the sticker off, opened the thing, and found the wrong movie inside. I found blank discs inside. I found empty cases. This has happened to me time and time again because people can go in there, take the item, sometimes pay for it, then come back, claim something was wrong with it, and they tell you that they don't put that back on the shelf or whatever, but sometimes returned items go back on the shelf and you buy it. And sometimes items can be returned in a way that's the reason they go back on the shelf, is sometimes it'll be returned like, I didn't mean to buy this, I'm just looking to trade this in for something else. And they do that, and then because they had a machine at home that allowed them to rewrap it, there's our problem. So that's just a small thing I'd like to bring up about the boxes that's really bothering me. A couple things that scare me moving forward with this kind of stuff. But let's go into the figure, because that's what I said we were here to do. So next picture. First off, I really like this design. I do. The only thing I'm not liking is the legs. The legs bother me a little bit, just a little bit. I feel like the area where the kicks come from, because I don't know how to explain it. It looks a little off on the legs up at the hips, and that is very much just a slight point of view thing, because I'm used to figures where their legs are just a little bit different. The Lightning Collection, it always looks a little stiff to me. It really does. Compared to other figures that I've had in the past, the Lightning Collection seems to look a little stiff to me. But that being said, I loved the Ranger Slayer that I bought from this Lightning Collection, and I loved my Lord Zed. So this isn't a deal breaker. It's just the one spot that I see often looks a little awkward to me is when it comes down to the waist. And maybe it's because I'd like the waist to be pulled in a little bit more, just minorly. I'm not talking about anything extreme here, but just the minor bit of pulling in the waist would accentuate the legs. I don't know what it is. There's something that always throws me off about the bottom legs area, like right there at the stomach where the pelvic bone comes down. Always bugs me a little bit about the Lightning Collection, on both the girls and the guys, for that matter. I think the guys weather it a little bit more, though, because they're like buff, so you don't have to create that image. But a lot of the times, yeah. But that is just a small thing, because I have to find something here to nitpick, because you know me, I like to think that there's always somewhere that we can improve. But I look at this, and this is fantastic. I love the way that it incorporates the old Chun-Li aspects. The boots are cool. The white area where the legs used to be is where it would have been like the nylons or whatever. I like the fact that her little belt there actually encompasses the cool little morpher. And I like the fact that she has the battle skirt that hangs down like that goes across the front and the back that way. I love the fact that there's these little bun things that are coming off the helmet. That is fantastic. I like the little symbol. Like, I don't know what she is. Oh, well, she's a phoenix. That's really cool in its own right. She's a blue fire phoenix right there. And the phoenix, that's the shield, is very much like being born. You see all the fire coming up, and that's what creates the shield for her. This is a fantastic design. Let's check out the next picture. Okay, this is where you see my leg problem a little bit more, in the way that maybe here's what I want. Maybe I want a hip movement option, because the hips don't move. So I can't curve her body out to be more straight when she's like this. And maybe that's where I'm getting this from. This little thing that always kind of throws me off when I look at the hip design is that once it comes off of the movement, the upper ab crunch, and it goes down, it's like a straight body. And I'm noticing that I'm not seeing some of these Lightning Collections be able to move right there at the hips. The low ab crunch is always missing. So like some of that articulation and that movement goes away. And I realize the more things that we put on terms of their articulation, the more machining cost we're talking about. So I get where they have to choose where and how to add movement and things to these figures, and these are fairly solid designs. Almost any pose that you're thinking about creating, you can create, as we're seeing right here. That's a solid look. It's pretty cool. But the kicking, she almost looks like she's going to fall over, where Chun-Li has always had, and I'm being very particular to the fact that she's Chun-Li. Chun-Li, in almost every single time you see her do this kick, she stands almost upright, and then her extreme ability to stretch, move, and do the things like the splits and whatnot allows her to kick almost straight out, up, down, left, all these things, and she can encompass all these little blurs that come, this lightning effect that comes with her, which is pretty cool, this little multiple feet kick thing. That's cool. But because of the way her body is sculpted, she can't take that classic Chun-Li pose. This is about the closest that we're getting here. Next picture. That's cool. That's probably the way that I would have to display her, is taking a pose like this, because the kicks, as I said, because of the way her hips are designed, it kind of messes me up. It doesn't look right to me. And I'm just now noticing that I didn't notice before that she has a stripe down the side here, which is very much a really cool callback. It's a cool callback to like Chun-Li from the Alpha series, which that's cool in general because it's that tracksuit line. I think that is really cool. That is absolutely fantastic. Next picture is this one here where she's kind of standing up and she's got that little pose. My favorite pose was the last picture we just saw, but this is solid too. There's nothing wrong with this picture. This is cool, and it gives me a good idea as to how she's going to look and everything like that. And the last picture, let's go to that real quick. It seems that she comes also with her Kehoken, I believe is what that's called. That's cool. But once again, and maybe it's her legs, or maybe this time the skirt is in her way because they decided not to go with a fabric or like even add a little movement area to that. And because of that, she could do one of her old poses, but she can't do that one. I've always liked it, and you could say what you want one way or another, but my favorite thing where she throws this thing out, this orb attack, is when she literally threw her whole body into it. I always felt like that was cool. I didn't feel like that was, quote, hot or something, because I know that's where one of the arguments is going to come from immediately. I actually liked that she would start, and just like a martial artist pulls their energy from the floor, actually the same thing with a boxer in general, which I consider boxers to be a form of martial artists. Regardless, they study a martial art. When a boxer punches, they push off their leg, they push off through their feet, up through their leg, across through their hip, and they throw their whole body into that hook, that jab, that punch. And I liked the fact that she was doing that with her energy. You see like Ken and Ryu, and they just kind of draw their hand back and they throw their arms out and they go, Hadouken! And that's cool. It is cool. But she really put everything she had into that blast. You could see almost as if she pulled her energy up through her feet, arched her back, pulled her arms up, then revved her entire body, and then threw everything forward into this massive bomb that she then expelled from her body in extreme force, and the dress would kind of fly back and she'd kind of go up on her tippy toes. Okay, that was cool. I actually thought that pose was really cool, and for this, that's what I would have liked to have seen. That's a particular thing. I'm well aware that that's just a particular thing. So let me put another little particular here in things that personally I would have liked to have seen. If we were going to do this blast and it had to be done this way, I want a way to connect it to the hand. I want that piece of plastic there to wrap around this firing hand and onto that little the little bracelet that she wears. So it's actually extending off of her. Ah! That would have been cool. I would have also settled for that because this pose would have worked well for something like that. But you know the one that I wanted to see, the pose I want to be able to do, and I can't do that pose. And that kind of sucks, even though she does come with two cool action things. So that being said, there's a third action piece. We'll go to another picture here, right here. I was wrong. It's not the last picture because I found this. And this is cool too. It shows like this little lightning thing, and I can't tell if this is another type of the Kehoken thing or if it's dissipating energy after she's fired it, or if it's something completely different that's just because she's a ranger now, so she gets this new attack that she didn't have before. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I just know that that's a cool little third effect. So we get 3 effects with this character. That is pretty sweet. I'm going to say that. She gets that big Hoken blast thing. She gets this little electric wave, almost like a phoenix expelled fire type of thing. And then she also gets the kicks. And I almost would have liked to have seen an effect like this that could have come off of her shield, that could have connected to her shield and kind of blazed off her so she looked like she was powering up or something. Very little particular things. I know I'm being strangely particular about things I would have liked to have seen, but when you promise me one of my all-time favorite character designs, Chun-Li, she is. I think she's fantastic. I have loved the general design of Chun-Li since Street Fighter 2 when I played it on the Super Nintendo, okay? That is, and actually since I seen it in the arcade, it has always been one of my all-time favorite female designs in all of gaming, period. Ever. In all of fighting games, ever. Other fighting games wish they had designed Chun-Li. That's how perfect it is, hitting the ground running day one. So fantastic. So when I have an opinion like that, and when it happens to be one of my all-time favorites, we do get into things where I go, man, I wish this, and I wish that, and I wish this, but final verdict here, this is great looking, and this might finally be another Ranger Collection series, another thing from the Lightning Collection, because I haven't bought very much of this. But this right here, this looks like I would buy this. And personally, this is what I feel the Lightning Collection should be. The Lightning Collection should finally be a chance to do figures first and foremost correctly and kind of move away into alternate concept Rangers that we never got. I like the fact that it's digging into things like giving us the Red Sentry Ranger and things like that. I love that stuff. And I love the fact that we actually got the Ranger Slayer. And I love the fact that we're getting this. And I imagine that means we're going to get the other characters too. Not all the Street Fighter characters, but at least the ones that actually appeared in the video game. All of this is what I feel the Lightning Collection has a chance to do. Just like Motu Origins has a chance to bring all this stuff out that we either never really had a chance to own because we weren't collecting it at the time, or B, a chance to finally do some of the figures that never really got a chance, like She-Ra and the other things from the She-Ra Princess of Power line in Origins could finally be a chance to do those toys the way they were meant to be done before they were seized by the other hands at Mattel and turned into the girl line. Now, I don't have a problem with the fact that She-Ra Princess of Power became what it became. I really don't. All in all, it is what it is, and it was always going to be what it was going to be. But originally, when they did the idea was going to be, as far as I'm aware, the idea was going to be what we got She-Ra-wise recently in the Origins collection. That's what it was meant to be. And all of it was going to be built by the same guys that were doing the toy line. It was going to be like another kind of Teela, branching off and doing characters that way. And then all of a sudden it was, oh wait, no, because there was basically a girls section and a boys section at Mattel. And from what I understand, the girls section heard that She-Ra was about to be done by basically the boys section. And that was a big, oh no, you don't. No, this needs to come with us right now. We're the ones that need to do this. And sure enough, that's what it did. And then it became a more Barbie-esque line. And a lot of I've actually even heard podcasts where people have talked about being like a guy and wanting the Princess of Power stuff and then being told, these are dolls. That's not for you. And then all of a sudden the thing that you'd been watching, the He-Man show that you'd been watching that then kind of braced into She-Ra and then became another type of barbarian-esque thing in another way. I haven't really watched the show yet, but I'll get to it. And I know that it's in the same kind of idea. And because of that, I know that it still shares certain principle with the swords and sorcery mentality. And so guys that were into the swords and sorcery mentality were kind of booted out by the idealism of the time that this isn't for you. This is for the girls, and it has combs and brushes and dresses and so on and so forth, and it's not your action figure. And this is finally a chance to kind of put those characters into the designs that we would have got had they just been left alone to the creators that were already handling it anyway. And that's interesting to me in general with stuff like that. And stuff like this is exactly where the Lightning Collection needs to be going. This is where it needs to focus, because this is where it makes a ridiculous amount of sense. Anyways, that's all I have to say here. Off on a tirade, as usual. There's a million things for me to say, and I've said them, at least for now. So I'll be back to say more crap later. I
have spoken. Take what you will from it.